you can tilt your iPad back to get you good in frame.
Okay.
Those are just, again, some things that you want to talk about to your students so they don't have to sit and listen to something distorted. They really won't be able to hear and engage very well. But
my voice is bad enough without it being distorted. Now, I know I'm recording. Can you tell that I'm recording from what you're seeing?
No.
And when I went to I did a little test.
You see a record at the top right, and it's a red record. Do you see that, Christy?
Yes.
I'm sorry, the top left.
Yeah, mine's top left.
Yeah, top left. It says recording. So yeah, we can tell you're recording.
But the people who are watching, participating in the discussion, know that they are participating.
Yes, and you should always announce that too, just to make sure.
Now, since we're both here, I want to try something. We talked about discussion before, and I'm going to try to share the screen. And if I can get to my favorite rubric tool I use is Rubistar.
Yeah.
Out of KU, and I'm going to, I guess I've already done this. You can download them, save them, and edit them to your heart's content, which is kind of nice. This is an edited version I've done. And rather than having to think about what a 1, a 2, or 3, or 4 is, they have given you enough suggestions that you can use other people's ideas and then edit the wheel rather than inventing the wheel. I love editing. I hate creating new ideas on my own.
Oh, sure. I never even heard about Rubistar, so I'm writing that down.
Yeah, and it's out of KU, and they do ask you for your zip code.
Yeah.
They allow international people, and like they'll give you a category. And I was doing something for classical music, and so program, and they give you different choices.
Right.
And then I just go through what I usually typically do when I'm doing this. I go through all of them and just take their suggestions, and then I edit out of it. I did like the discussion when the class decide what's good and what's bad, watching good examples, bad examples, coming up with their own rubric.
All right.
But sometimes you don't have that time, Christine. This is how you're going to grade it. And let them know that.
John, you're going to need to double check, especially if you get kind of outside of what Doug gave us. Because what Doug gave us is pretty close to the standard for Brown Mackey. So depending on what your rubric looks like, if it looks significantly different than what Doug gave us, you're going to need to clear that through our academic dean or through Debbie Smith, our chief academic officer.
Okay, that's good to know. But I'll never be teaching here, so it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because the rubric I saw for one other class is more of a criterion reference rather than a rubric, because I think a rubric describes, what an A is, what a B is, what a C is, what a D is, as opposed to, this is what I'm looking for, and you get all of it, you get all 10 points or 4 points or whatever.
Yeah, I had a teacher who, a few months ago, who had a nice rubric, and then at the bottom had the deductions, like the late penalty deductions, and some other thing that they would take off for. So I asked him, I said, wow, how do your students look at that? Because mostly we're doing a rubric to build up points, but
yeah,
you're obviously late. And so sometimes I see instructors give rubrics and give points for being on time, yet they don't have the deductions because, well, what if a student is early? They don't get any extra points, but how are you deducting students that are late? So
because the Brown Mackey College policy requires that.
Well, actually, John, Brown Mackey policy doesn't. Salina's Brown Mackey policy.
Okay, Salina's policy.
As we're HLC, we've got some very specific stuff like 1 day late is a 10%, 2 day late, 20%.
Yeah, Brown Mackey really doesn't dictate those types of policies from a higher level. It's really the dean and the academic department that decide that. Some of your programmatic courses don't allow some of that activity either. So it depends on the programmatic accreditation, and then of course your dean kind of sets those standards. So it's very similar across the board. Like nursing and vet tech may have different similarities, but for the most part, most of your programs are pretty much consistent throughout the campus.
Yeah, and some programs 80 is the lowest score, and others 70 is, and others 60 is. It depends on that program.
Yeah, right.
The faculty didn't know that. I'm kind of learning that in my 4 months that I've been here trying to figure this out.
Right.
Okay. My next question is, I've shared my desktop. How do I stop sharing it with you?
You should see, where did you go to share? You should see at the top, or you're on an iPad, right?
I'm on an iPad and desktop both.
Okay, well the iPad you can see, if you touch it, you'll see a ribbon at the top, stop sharing. It depends on which one you shared first.
Okay, I had share content. Let me click on that and.
Were you sharing your content off of your desktop, John?
Yes.
Yeah, then go to your desktop. And then at the bottom, you'll see a ribbon that says stop share.
It's at the top, yes. Okay, so I've stopped sharing the desktop.
Right.
So I've taught you about Rubristar, which is a nice thing for rubrics, even though it may not work for the Brown Mackey faculty, but it's nice for good teaching. So.
Absolutely, right.
And when I played with recording it, there were like 3 different files that showed up. Is it the MP3 or the MP4 file, or does it make any difference?
Do the MP4.
Okay.
Well, I never noticed I've only had one MP4 file usually, but I probably pick the lowest as far as how much space it's taken, but either or should be fine.
Yeah.
But MP3 is usually your audio, so pick the MP4, and if it's MP3 separation, the MP4 will always pick up the audio with it.
And I'm not sure which I did. I couldn't hear it, but on my desktop, when I'm in Citrix, quite often I can't hear. I have to go to the non-Citrix, non-virtual media.
Right, right. Citrix is not good for streaming media.
Okay, so
You
I've
feeling
stopped.
John?
Okay, I've stopped